Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Chromat here, and today I'm coming at you with another video. This time, the video is going to be about melodies, melodic structure, everything you need to know to compose a good melody. So, the first thing that you need to know is that all this information is very subjective. Um, Everyone will be creating different melodies, even if you gave everyone the same instrument. Like if you take a look at back in classical music, when everyone had the same, when all the composers had the same instruments to work with, you'll notice that they all, of course, produce different melodies and different compositions. And so will you. Each one of you who will be listening will produce something different. And so that's just the first thing that I wanted to get out of the way. So just basically letting you know that even if I'm teaching you all the same thing, you guys are watching the same video, you guys will be all making something different. So, with that being said, let's get started. Melodies consist of many things, really, but then it also, so I'm going to go over a few of them. Relationship to the chords. You cannot, it's really hard to understand how a melody works without understanding the context of the chords. So, if you're just playing like a random melody, but you're just playing a random melody and really not many people know how it's supposed to go with the context of the chords, so that it's hard for them to judge whether it's a good melody or not. So really, you so the two main points is it need the melody. One, needs context. Two, the melody must follow an arc. The melody must follow a similar arc to a story arc, where where you think about sending the melody off on a journey. You're sending it off on a journey, and it's going there to reach its purpose or its fulfillment, and then it's trying to come back home. Melodic structure is pretty similar to that. Okay, let's see. Tension and release. Um, your chords your chords and your melodies need to have a bit of tension and release. If there's too much tension, there will be too much anticipation, and your song won't sound as well. And if there's too much release, there will be too many relaxing moments, and still your song won't sound as well. So it needs a balance of both. Now, if you have a hard time understanding tension and release, here's my quick Google search. In music, tension is the anticipation music creates in a listener's mind for relaxation or release. For example, tension may be produced through reiteration, increased dynamic level, gradual motion, or higher or lower pitch, or partial syncopations between consonants and dissonance. So basically, tension is just kind of a way to cause movement in your music, and release is another similar way to cause movement in your music. But the two should be used hand in hand, not separately. Okay, so tension, release. Okay, the next key concept for creating good melodies is rhythm and repetition. Like if you listen to like a lot of singers, rhythm, they will be singing the notes at even in succession with each other, but they will be using a different rhythm to kind of make the notes more interesting. Let's see. And then they'll also be using repetition of the notes too to kind of draw attention to how interesting their words are at the given time, or how interesting the melody is. So let's see. When I'm not listening to EDM music, I do listen to uh, a few other albums from and a few other singles. I like listening to Todrick Hall, who is a YouTuber, and then I also like listening to Lana Del Rey, which is where this next example is from. Now that's from Lana Del Rey's song Salvatore, and if you notice the melody which is being played is majority repetition of the same notes, and when it goes down a whole step, it is the repetition of the same rhythm and the same styling of notes, except just one whole step down. So yeah, that's another key thing to important. Remember to also when you're listening to singers, be sure to analyze their melodies in context with their chords. That is very important. So another thing that you might want to learn is the pentatonic scale, because a lot of melodies, singers, guitarists, especially solo guitarists, they will be using something similar to the pentatonic scale. Now, what is the pentatonic scale? The pentatonic scale is, let's say we're starting in the key of C. The pentatonic scale in C major would be the 5 notes, these 5 notes right here, hence the surname pent and then tonics, which means 5 notes. So if we're going to start off with the root note in the C major scale, the 1 note, which is a C, the 2 note, which is a D, the 3 note, which is an E, and then the 5th note, which is a G, and the 6th, which is an A. So the scale sounds like this. And then if you want to do the minor version, all you would be doing is just starting from the 6th note, which is A. But the notes will still be, the overall notes throughout the scale will still be the same. Now, guitarists use this all the time, especially if they're creating guitar solos and licks and riffs and things like that. And so it's actually a really good starting point when you're creating melodies. Now, to my next point. Okay, so let's see the pentatonic scale in action. I'm going to be using the basic 4-chord progression, which is the minor 4-chord progression, which is A minor, F, C, G. So, and this time I'm not going to be using the pedal. Something like that. But yeah, that, if you noticed, all of the notes that I was playing was actually in C major or A minor pentatonic. So if you're playing in a different key, go ahead and look up to see what is the pentatonic scale. But you should be able to figure it out if you know what scale you're playing in. It's always the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6th note. So yeah, that is a pentatonic scale. Use it as a reference point, because it is a great reference point. Let's see. Cover tension, home keys. A great place for your melody to be is in, or wait, why didn't I write down home key? Okay, so chord tones. Chord tones. A great place for your melody to be is in chord tones. So like if we're playing in a C major chord, the notes that would go well with the C major chord in your melody at the same time would be C, D, and G, which is basically the C major triad. So if we're starting a melody, be like, So that's a really good reference point for me is if the melody does go well with the chords and hitting those chord tones as it moves along. So not sure if that made quite enough sense. If you guys had any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. Let's see, what's my next point? I cover tension and release. So basically, I would go over which chords to me cause the most tension and which chords actually cause the most release. The home chord, in the case of C major scale, would be very releasing. And then the the five chord, to me causes tension in context. And then the sixth chord, the A minor, would be releasing tension. And then the fourth chord, which is F major, would be adding more tension. And then it would be released with the C. So as your song needs structure and your melodies need structure, your melodies must have a sense of direction. A perfect example of this would be Ed Sheeran's new song, not Shape of You, but his other one, which is literally about going home. I forget what the actual song title is, but think about your melody as going off on a journey, trying to find his way back home, and then eventually that is an example of a melody finding its way back home. When the melody comes back home, it is like a huge release for all of the singers. And that's why it's so important to think of melody and songwriting and chords as this structural process instead of this just, oh, this sounds good, because if your melodies and your chords all have a structure to them, they sound undoubtedly better. There's a reason why the pop music scene does use tried and true structures. Like if you take a look at all of Katy Perry's songs, not just one, all of them, they all follow the same structure, which is an introduction, verse, chorus, verse, build, chorus, and then a bridge, final chorus, resolution. It's a reason why they use that structure, because it is a tried and true structure when it comes to songwriting. And so yeah, that's something important to keep in mind. Let's see, I already mentioned studying vocalists. Avoid making huge jumps when you are creating melodies, like huge intervals. So what is an interval? An interval is a space between a chord and its notes. So say we're playing C major, the chord is C, E, and G, but the interval would be the space in between them two. So since between C and E, we skip over the D right here. That would be 2 whole steps. So the interval between C and E would be 2 whole steps. When creating melodies, you don't want to be creating super huge intervals in between your notes. Like say if you're starting with a C, you don't want to go like all the way up there, you know? So, and if you listen to like a lot of classical composers and even vocalists nowadays, they don't make huge jumps in their melodies. Like earlier I had the example of Lana Del Rey Salvatore chorus. Notice that the interval, the biggest interval, is from here to here, and that is because it is a chord tone. Those are both chord tones. And that's why it works so well together. Let's see. Study vocalists, avoid making. And I cannot stress this enough. try to have a balance between tension and release, because tension and release will be the main parts, will be the two main things that add structure to your entire song, and therefore also adding structure to the melodies. Remember, you can't think of melodies and chords and song structure, arrangement, composition as all different parts of the music where they can just be worked on separately. No, they have to be worked on together. Everything as a whole has to be worked on together, where it's your chords, your melodies, your compositions, your tension and release, even things like automations and things like that. They all have an effect on the song as a whole. You have to start thinking holistically about your song and not just these individual aspects. That's something that I wish someone told me when I first started composing, was that I was just working on pieces and pieces of the song. Like, I'll start off with the drop, and then I'll think of like the verse as its own element in the song, and then like the build up, and then the drop. But no, it's not like that. You have to think of your songs collectively as a whole and not individual parts, because if you start thinking about it this way, you'll start seeing how different parts of your song affect the other parts, because it's all about context. You have to think of songwriting, melody writing, chord progressions as all together, not just single elements. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like the video, be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. I have 2 videos coming out every week. If you have questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And as always, you guys, have a nice day.